This is the Modern Conservative Podcast with Jon Harvey.
Good day, America. I am Jon Harvey. I'm the host of the Modern Conservative Podcast, found on 45 platforms and more. I can be reached on Facebook and Twitter. Well, let me say Facebook when they don't take me down, because my last episode they did remove and said that I was violating community standards. So I guess my black card doesn't go that far with Facebook. But hey, I'll keep trying. And so when they do shut me down, you can always find me at tmcpnation.com and or podbean.com. Just type in TMCP Nation or the Modern Conservative Podcast, and you can find all current episodes and much, much more. And by the way, you can go to TMCP Nation, purchase merchandise, and show up in style at your next conservative event. Today I want to talk about something that actually makes me feel really good. You know, most days I love the Supreme Court. There's been times where they have been disappointing, such as 1973 when they said that abortion was a right. That was the Supreme Court legislating from the bench. But they redeemed themselves once again. And that is when they had stated that affirmative action is unconstitutional. Absolutely unconstitutional. For some reason, they're saying that your skin and your minority status is not a way to getting a job, getting an education, and or many other things. Basically, they're saying is, hey, your credentials is what gets you the job and not your race or your minority status. And for so long, I've always said that affirmative action is a form of racism in this country. And it actually is. You're discriminating against the whites. You're truly discriminating against the 62% of the population in this country based off their color. Now, look, if you want a great job, how do you do it? You get a great education. You want a sorry-ass job, you get a sorry education. That's how it works in this country. Your character isn't based on the color of your skin. Your qualifications in this country is not based on the quality or the color of your skin. Though many people will like to say that, and those are the people that don't believe in giving or receiving a hand up. They want handouts. We don't quite believe in that here in that TMCP Nation. We don't roll that way. We believe we work hard and we gain a lot. You work little, you gain a little. See how that works? You know, I have a saying, you have the right to fail and you have the right to succeed. That is absolutely on you. No one else, my brother or sister or anything in between. I just want to say, you know, the Supreme Court sometimes surprises me with their decisions. I mean, I got to say, in the past 6 years, we have had a great Supreme Court, a really good Supreme Court, a constitutional Supreme Court. Now, there are some things out there that I wish they had gone in our favor, but you can't win them all. I'm not like a Democrat where I think I need to win every damn thing. No, excuse me. Democrats don't believe they need to win anything. Everything should be given to them. It's called a participation trophy. As long as I'm on this earth, I should get anything I want for free with very little diligence. Very little. And for those of you out there who are listening to me for the first time, yes, I'm a conservative. And I'm not an Afro-American. Excuse me. I'm not an African American. I'm just an American who happens to be black. I'm just a conservative who happens to be black. So when you listen to my program, one thing you will learn with me, I don't lean towards my black card. because my black card expired in 2008. That's when I became more of a conservative, at least in my thinking and the way I live my life. So my black card is officially expired. As a matter of fact, most Democrats would have told you my black card expired a long time ago, because I don't really think like the stereotype. And I try not to be the stereotype, because things like affirmative action. Affirmative action just trains people and diminishes their ability to be a creative, because people believe the pathway to success and or an education is just that easy. You know, it discriminates against everything that the left believes to be discrimination, I should say. You know, everything that the left define as being discriminatory, they want it. They're the one who wants it. I mean, I cannot believe nowadays that so many people in 2023 are still Democrats, or as I call them, Democrats, because what is great about being a Democrat? You're just ignorant. You know, when you believe racism is something that needs to be promoted to make yourself a better person, it's ludicrous. It is absolutely ludicrous. I've been black for 57 years. 57 years of being black. And not at one time in my life I have said to myself, man, it's hard wearing this skin. Yes, I don't get wrinkles. Yes, I can stay out in the sun all day long and not burn. Yes, I might be able to be good at sports. But still, I have never had a problem in business. I've never had a problem in life. And now, mind you, I come from the South. I've seen things that most people have no clue how real racism works. See, real racism is when you have somebody burning a cross on your porch or your front yard. Real racism is when you're 17, 18 years old, somebody puts a gun in your face because you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. Real racism is when you go down the street in North Carolina and you see a big old 20-foot cross burning next to the freeway. That's real racism. Getting your feelings hurt because of your color, or nobody won't comply to your color, that's not racism. Because 9 times out of 10, when you don't get something based on your color, it's because they're actually looking for your character. But you have determined it's based off your color. When you don't get a job because you're unqualified, it's not racism when they tell you you don't qualify. But you think it's because of your skin. Not that you overlook the part of the application says requires a master's degree. Well, hell, you can't even use the words masters anymore nowadays, because now that's racism. So affirmative action was part of that problem. Affirmative action was part of that problem where people would overlook the qualifications on the application. And they truly believe, because of affirmative action, that they may be Black, Hispanic, Asian, and or others. That was their qualification. Now, I've always said about affirmative action, okay, let's say everybody hires you because you're minority status, but they pay you less than everybody else. What people don't seem to recall or get, that affirmative action says, hey, you might have to be hired because you're minority status, but doesn't mean we have to pay you well. Doesn't mean we have to pay you well. And that's the part of the problem, because people hire you because of affirmative action. They don't want to get a lawsuit, or these businesses don't want to be considered as racist. They hire you, but they pay you like shit. See, that's the other side of affirmative action people don't talk about. Being compliant to hire you doesn't mean we have to pay you as much as you think you're worth. And that's a lot of problem with these kids nowadays that believe in affirmative action, especially back in the East, where everybody's pushing affirmative action quotas. Now, with the Supreme Court, here's what I don't like about the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court system. The Supreme Court really doesn't have any teeth. You know, case in point, New York, for example, when the Supreme Court came down with Bruins, and New York says, we don't care what the Supreme Court says. We're going to do what we want to do in our state. That should be problematic for New York when they do that. But what's the punishment? What's the punishment to the state? From what I know, I don't think there is a punishment, because who's going to enforce it? Who's going to enforce the hell? The United States Congress can't put somebody in jail for a computer. They still have to go through the DOJ. So where does the Supreme Court get its enforcement powers? I don't think there is a such thing as the Supreme Court law enforcement. At least I've not heard of it as of today. And that's a lot of problems with some of the things that conservatives that are trying to push through the court system. These states will take it upon themselves to either circumvent the Supreme Court ruling or just not comply at all. See, now, if you and I disrespect the court and not comply, our asses go to jail. And there should be something like governor's jail or a senator's jail, you know, where these people can get locked up for disrespecting or not following the rulings of the court, because that court was put in place by the founders of this country for a reason. But then again, so is the Constitution. They stomp all over it as well, on both sides, to be honest with you. So affirmative action is dead in the water. Now, will it truly be dead? I don't know. Will they try to circumvent the ruling? Most likely, because you're still going to have these companies that are going to be using something somewhat like a affirmative action, because they don't want to be construed as racist when they stop hiring people based on their color. So why would they stop? Why would they stop? They wouldn't. They would not, like I said, because everybody's worried about being called a racist in this country. I don't give a rat's ass. Call me what you want, but just don't call me late for dinner. I'm just saying, that's just me talking. I'm just ranting this morning. It is a Friday, and I'm recording Friday morning because I suck and I didn't record yesterday. I had some business to take care of, but for the most part, today is just my rant day. I don't have a bit of notes in front of me. These are things that are popping up in my head, and it's current events. And as a matter of fact, actually, let me be honest with you. I can't even really talk about a lot of the things I really want to talk about, because with Facebook, you're going to get shut down. I'm right now one more video from being in Facebook jail again. So what I really want to talk about, I can't. So, but though, if you're listening to me and you really want to hear the true conversations that Facebook cannot censor, go to tmcpnation.com or Podbean, tmcpnation.com, and listen to the podcasts that do get shut down by Facebook that you never see. So I will tell you this, a lot of times I try to do at least one podcast a week. And if you don't see one in a given week, it meant it probably got shut down. And that means it was a real good one. Because Facebook have a tendency of shutting the real good ones down, especially when you're a conservative. A real good podcast. And I just want people to know that, we've got to figure this out, because it gets to the point where you get tired of putting out content and the content gets stifled. And I know a lot of people going through the same, having the same problem with Facebook and or YouTube as well, Instagram as well. TikTok will also censor you as well. So I'm actually thinking about going over to Twitter now that they are hosting podcasts. I mean, that seemed to be the friendly domain right now. You can always go to Truth also, Rumble as well. I'm going to up my game. I'm working on some other stuff, but I'm going to try to be more consistent with the podcasting. So enough of that. This is something. So for most of you that, that are not going on, that don't live in Utah, I want to talk to those of us who live in Utah and some things that are going on in the state that I have a problem with. One of the problem is building the gondola all the way up to the ski resorts. I oppose that for several reasons, but one of the main reasons is they want to use taxpayer money. Now, if they're going to use private money, I don't even care. But they want to build it using taxpayer money. Now, to ski in Utah is rather expensive. It's rather expensive to ski. And most people do not ski here in Utah, believe it or not. Though we have the greatest snow on earth, there's a lot of people that do not ski. Therefore, their tax dollars are going to something that's going to actually enhance the profitability of these private businesses. I can understand if these ski resorts were paying for the gondola. Now, then becomes a different issue for a lot of people, because you'll get the conservation people saying, you're storing the footprints of the landscape, blah, 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 even though it's flying in the sky, it's in the air. That's not my issue. My issue is taxpayers' dollars going to something that taxpayers don't benefit from if they do not ski. Now, they could say, you know what, it can go up in the summertime, it's scenic, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's just another way of justifying it, going up to the ski resorts that will be using it 90%, 80% of the time, who will be making tons of more money off of taxpayers' dollars, which is the gondola. Now, there's already a road up there that taxpayers pay for. Now, every taxpayer can use that road. So if a taxpayer want to go on a scenic drive, they can use the road. So that excuse, well, we already have a road there. My cant to that is, exactly, we already have a road up there. If the taxpayers are not using this machine, this gondola, the majority of the time, taxpayer dollars should not be used for it. Now, people may say taxpayers are skiers as well, or skiers are taxpayers as well. Okay, that's fine and dandy. But they still can take the road as well. Because 90% of the time in the wintertime in Utah, that will be used for the ski resorts. That means these ski resorts can keep making a lot of money when the avalanches are shutting down the road. See, that's what it's all about. Keep the money flowing. But the problem is the money is not flowing for the taxpayer. It's flowing for the ski resorts. Now, people may say, well, they pay taxes on the money they spend up there. Well, they're going to spend taxes on no matter what. They're going to pay state tax no matter what. But the thing is, if they want more traffic at these ski resorts need to be the one who pay for it, not taxpayers. Not taxpayers. Once again, taxpayers have access to the road that we pay for. And if they want to go up on that road one day, that's their choice. If they choose not to, that's their choice. It doesn't specifically benefit the ski resorts, because people can go beyond that and, go do some scenic things. But gondolas are usually deal with a ski resort, and there's 2 up there that would benefit from it greatly. So, if they did a gondola and it didn't stop at the ski resorts, maybe that's a little bit better. But if the end destination is the ski resort, that's when it's a problem. That means it's specifically for that private business. And that private-public partnership is a no-no. And that's really what it would be. And look, I don't usually agree with Jeannie Wilson at all. That's our county mayor, for those of you who don't know. But this time I agree with her. Now, it may be for different reasons, but my whole point is taxpayers' dollars to a private business, especially if it's going to end at that private business. If that private business is the final destination of that gondola, that's problematic for me and a lot of people in our state. Because I snowboard, but I still don't want taxpayer dollar use. Look, if the avalanche shuts down the road going up to the ski resorts, that's the cost of doing business. That's what that is. That's the cost of doing business. This was going to happen. Maybe these ski resorts should have a system where they go and clear the roads. But it's still taxpayer dollars that clear those roads because it's the DOT that does the clearing. So, that's my thought on that. Someone asked me the other day what my thoughts on it. And I just want to talk about it publicly and give my 2 cents worth as to why we should not be for taxpayer dollars being used to bolster the bottom line of these private ski resorts. So that's my 2 cents worth on that one. And then my next topic and my final topic is something that goes on in my state, and that's the state politics. In state politics in Utah, everybody wants to be liked. Everybody thinks we need to do everything within a good, kind spirit. Even getting stomped on. We're supposed to take it in a good, kind spirit. And a lot of that is based on the dominant religion in this state. And what I mean by that, in the dominant religion in the state, they believe that we all need to get along. And I don't disagree with that at all. Not at all. It's just, how do we get along? How we get along is a little bit different. A lot of people in our state believe that, everybody's their brother and their sister in public, but we're so judgmental in private. I had a conversation with a friend of mine about this, and her beef was, and I have to say, she's LDS. She says, our religion is so judgmental. I said, what do you mean judgmental? She says, we all want to pretend to be kind, but yet we talk about people and gossip about people behind their backs. And I said, but that's kind of like how things go on this planet with people in itself. She says, no, we've been taught to be nice to people. But for a lot of people, it's just a show, not a practice. And she had mentioned that in their neighborhood that you get some of the most affluent people in the state in their neighborhood, and they come across publicly as good people, but when you know them privately, they're not such good people. And that's how we are in our politics here. Politicians want to come across as nice, kind-hearted, looking out for the community. And well, that's not necessarily true because I know some of these people. It's not necessarily true. They all want to come across as pillars of the church. Well, let me say something to you. When you start promoting things that your religion don't believe in, and you're doing it just to get along and save face, my question is, how strong is your religion? When you say things that are done in the name of God, or restricted in the name of God, or you don't believe in it in the name of God, what do you have more faith in? Your public appearance or what's in the name of God? See, when you do things and you say things in the name of God, that's concrete. That's concrete. Don't tell me you believe in God when you let your emotion or your personal appearance to make what God said to be minimal, just so you can get along with people. If God says in the Bible, stand at your house with a sword and stab every man that tried to come in, that's literal. He didn't say stand there with your sword and try to talk everybody from rushing in. He said stab every man that tried to break. Now, this is not a Bible quote. Let me back up real quick. This is my hyperbolation of what if God was to say this. He didn't say be kind. He didn't say be kind. He didn't say do it your way, but use his interpretation. No, he says do it my way, and you can interpret it how you want. But it may not get you where you want in life. Because I'm so sick or tired of people talking about religion. And for example, let's be specific. Gay marriage in our state. Gay marriage. For many years, many churches were against gay marriage. Why were they against it? Why were they against it? Because it wasn't biblical. Marriage was between a man and a woman. But look what happened. So many religions backed down. Now they take the word of God and they've used it. They don't even use the word of God anymore. Now it's the word of man. It's a word of politics. It's what's going in the current times. God never said after 100 years, you can change my words and do what you want. Then you don't have a religion then. Anytime your religion can be altered by what's going on in society, then your religion is not solid. The Bible doesn't regenerate itself every 100 years based off of what's going on in society, nor should you. So if you really believe in God and you listen to the Torah, the Quran, the Book of Mormons, whatever it may be, there shouldn't be a new subscription every 10 years, a new issue every 10 years, because if your religion becomes transient in language, you need to ask yourself, how solid is that religion? I don't care what the religion is. Stop justifying what you do because of the time. You justify it because of what the Bible and your religion have told you, and you stick with it. No matter what your church leaders tell you, you stick with it. You do your religion the way your Bible tells you to, or your Quran tells you to, or your Book of Mormon tells you to. But stick with your religion and do not let man change the content of your book. But anyway, I'm running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. I started out a little too late. I'm going to see you guys next week. You can pick me up on, tmcpnation.com, Facebook, Twitter, and upcoming platforms as well. We'll get on this religion conversation again next week. I promise you, stick to it. And I have a lot more to say that because I'm tired of religion changing because of time. I really am. So have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to be so brief on the last part. But once again, my name is Jon Harvey, and I am the host of TMCP Nation, the Modern Conservative Podcast.com. I'll see you guys next week. I love you all. Have a great weekend.